It's guys that, you know, you might have a black girlfriend or two that made them some Kool-Aid every now and then, and they think they can cross the line, and they can't. You know, it's a word that has been used against us. It's like a knife, man.
Got a name, a phrase for guys like you. It's called...
Do I forgive him? Yeah. Do I think his career should be ruined because of it? No, I don't. Because if we ruining people's career for that word right there, ain't none of us gonna be working.
Ice Cube just went off on Hulk Hogan, straight up calling him a racist fraud and blasting WWE for covering it up for decades. While people online pretend to mourn Hulk, Cube came in swinging with zero mercy, saying loud and clear that this man hated black people. And no, Cube isn't talking about just that one infamous video from 10 years ago where Hulk got caught using the N-word. He's saying it runs way deeper, back to the 80s and 90s when Hogan was dropping racist dog whistles left and right. Back in the day, Hogan's whole WWF persona was basically the all-American hero fighting against so-called foreign villains like Iron Sheik and Kamala.
Everything that I've been through, this one hit me probably the hardest, and that's a heck of a thing to say, because I've been through a lot of crazy stuff. I was at the lowest point of my life. My personal life was destroyed. I was very mad at my daughter. I was upset over a situation that happened between her and her boyfriend, and I had no idea I was being taped. I was to the point where I wanted to kill myself. I sat in my bathroom by myself when my ex-wife was gone and the kids were gone, and I was completely broken and destroyed, and I said, what's the easiest way out of this? I mean, I was lost.
You were suicidal.
Yes, I was.
It was a gimmick built on stereotypes, and Cube isn't letting anyone forget it. WWE, of course, tried to play the PR game. They removed Hulk from their Hall of Fame and erased his name everywhere, only to quietly bring him back a few years later like nothing ever happened. They even pushed this whole fake redemption storyline. Ice Cube saw the whole thing for what it really was, a cold corporate attempt to rebrand racism as just a simple mistake. Did everyone just forget that Hulk spent his later years cozying up to known KKK members, literally posing with an actual Nazi while promoting his beer? So no, you really can't blame Ice Cube for refusing to pretend Hulk Hogan was some kind of American hero, but Cube isn't just refusing to forgive, he's accusing WWE of pulling off one of the biggest racial cover-ups in entertainment history.
Been used as a weapon against us by white people, and we're not gonna let that happen again by nobody.
Only hours after news broke of Hogan's death, Ice Cube didn't post a tribute, didn't call him a legend, didn't do any of that. Instead, he went straight for the jugular. Cube posted, "Funny how y'all remember the leg drops and the catchphrases, but forget the racism." That single post, whether you think it was justified or not, set the internet on fire. And this hit way harder because Cube isn't some random troll online. He's a hip-hop legend, an OG in the game, and someone who's seen racism get excused, rebranded, and sold back to the public for decades.
And the Hulk retaliates with two double chops, a big right hand, and here comes Kamala right at you. Champion going to work on the big guy now, ramming him from...
Meanwhile, celebs like Steve Harvey are out here defending Hulk, trying to paint him as misunderstood. Cube wasn't the only one calling Hulk out. His own son, O'Shea Jackson Jr., made it crystal clear years ago that Hulk Hogan was dead to him, long before Hogan actually passed. Back in 2015, when that N-word scandal exploded online, O'Shea straight up booed Hulk at WWE Raw. When people asked him why, he kept it brutally honest. It's racism, point blank. There's no sugarcoating it. So when the news broke last week that Hulk Hogan had died at 71, O'Shea didn't write some heartfelt tribute. He just posted on X, "Holy-ish." That was it. And of course, Hulk's diehard fans came for him right away, demanding he apologize for every harsh thing he'd ever said about Hogan.
Going on in WCW, we take what we want, and after we take Lex Luger and the job, we want the goals. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you.
One fan fired back at him saying, "You was talking all that ish. Now apologize." Another wrote, "Hulk Hogan is the reason wrestling is what it is today. Regardless of what anyone says, he made his mistakes. Who hasn't? But come on, calling what Hogan did a mistake is wild. This wasn't some little slip up or forgotten text message. Hogan didn't just say the N-word once. He went on rants about not wanting his daughter dating a black man over and over. That's not just a bad day. That's exactly who he was. Hulk's behavior wasn't some one-time mistake.
Double standard. I've got racist to a point. Then when it comes to my team,
It was a long, ugly pattern of racism, ignorance, and pure hate, both behind closed doors and on national TV. Let's run through the timeline people keep trying to erase. Way back in the mid-1980s, Hogan was already out here using racist gimmicks to mock the African heritage of his rival Kamala, also known as the Ugandan Giant. In promo segments, Hogan literally wore war paint, mocked Kamala's mannerisms, and even referred to natives with that offensive mumbo-jumbo pot nonsense.
Fair to say that you inherited a racial bias?
I would say that is very fair, but you can break the cycle. And that's what everybody needs to know. You can break this cycle and become a better person, become who you're meant to be instead of who you're supposed to be.
Then, in the early 1990s, during his big storyline feud with Sergeant Slaughter, who WWE portrayed as an Iraqi sympathizer and called the Defender of America, Hulk was once again front and center as the patriotic hero. It was sold as good old American pride, but let's be real, the entire gimmick played on ugly stereotypes about foreigners and enemies of the US. Sure, some people might argue, oh, that was just wrestling in the 80s and 90s, it was all part of the show. And yes, the whole WWF machine was guilty of pushing offensive stereotypes for cheap entertainment. But Hogan took it even further because what we heard on that leaked private tape, that wasn't Hulk Hogan, the character. That was Terry Bollea, the man himself, dropping the N-word multiple times and ranting about not wanting his daughter to date a black man.
Do you have any personal preference who ethnically your daughter dates?
No, I don't. Actually, the guy my daughter was dating, I liked him a lot. I'd known him for quite a while. And I was very mad at a personal situation that happened with my daughter.
Are you a racist?
No, I'm not. I'm not a racist. I never should have said what I said. It was wrong. I'm embarrassed by it. But a lot of people need to realize that you inherit things from your environment. And where I grew up was South Tampa, Port Tampa, and it was a really rough neighborhood, very low income. And all my friends, we greeted each other saying that word. We teased each other with that word. The word was just thrown around like it was nothing.
That's who Hulk Hogan really was. It all came crashing down in 2015 when a private video, filmed around 2006 or 2007, leaked to the public, finally showing everyone the real Hogan behind the mask. That leaked tape showed Hulk Hogan going on a full-blown racist rant, casually dropping the N-word over and over while talking about his daughter dating a black man. One of the most shocking moments was when he actually said something along the lines of, "I don't want my daughter to be with no N-words unless he's a rich, 8-foot-tall N-word." Like, he really said that. Hogan even admitted, as if it was no big deal, that he was racist to a point. The entire rant was filled with ugly stereotypes and casual hate, making it painfully obvious this wasn't some random slip-up. This was the real Hulk Hogan, comfortable saying things that showed how he truly felt. When the tape went public, WWE tried to save face by immediately cutting ties with him. They canceled his contract, wiped his name from their Hall of Fame page, and distanced themselves fast. Hogan eventually went on TV with an apology, calling it the lowest point of his life and blaming it all on being raised in a racist environment. But that so-called apology, it was all about him, how much the scandal hurt his life and career. There was no real remorse for the words he said. During that so-called apology, Hogan even admitted he had no idea he was being taped, which honestly tells you everything about who he really was when the cameras weren't rolling. That apology didn't change the fact that Hogan basically confessed to being racist and comfortable using hateful language in private. This tape is the reason his racist reputation has stuck so hard. It wasn't some wrestling gimmick. It wasn't a scripted promo. It was his real, unfiltered thoughts on race. In the interview, Hogan tried to spin it by saying that, yes, he inherited racial bias, but claimed he was determined to break the cycle. The problem? He never actually did. There was no real accountability, no public education, no meaningful action to back up his words. Hogan wasn't out here doing anti-racism work or showing he truly changed. If anything, his behavior later proved the opposite. Because when Hogan's son Nick was jailed in 2008 after a DUI crash that left his friend severely injured, Hulk didn't exactly rise above. He made more comments that showed those same racist attitudes were still alive and well. While Nick was serving time, Hulk regularly visited him, and their phone calls were recorded, later released by the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. And guess what? In one of those calls, Hogan once again went off, repeatedly dropping the N-word and using racial slurs to describe Nick's friends. He didn't stop there. Hogan even made dehumanizing comments about black people, calling them Blizzard Gee-oo while mocking the black staff at the detention center. According to a transcript obtained by Radar Online, Hogan told his son, "You know that God gave you this vibe and this energy that you and I are going to live forever, bro."
You think Hulk Hogan got booed out the building?
I was one of them. I'll show you the video.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that about?
Me, Eric Andre, and Wale was giving it to him.
love it.
Absolutely, bro.
Standing on
Yeah, I don't, you know.
But why though? Oh, Shay, if you don't mind me asking, but why?
This hating.
Okay.
Okay.
The racism, bro.
Yeah.
It's just hard to forget how detailed that rant was. And if you look up his rant, it's very detailed. And, I get a lot of people online who are like, oh, well, he would be mad if he found out about that whole generation. Yeah, well, when I find out, I'll be mad. But like right now, yeah, bro, bringing them out here.
I just hope we don't come back as a couple. I don't want to say it. Blizz, Gizo, you know what I'm saying? That recording, later scrubbed from the internet, proved that Hogan's racism wasn't just a one-time mistake from years ago. This was how he talked in private, completely unfiltered, and it revealed exactly what he believed deep down. But here's the kicker. Despite all this, WWE still decided to prioritize profit over accountability. They quietly reinstated Hulk into the Hall of Fame in 2018. WWE even released a statement saying Hogan deserved a second chance because of his numerous public apologies and his supposed volunteering to help young people learn from his mistake. In November 2024, less than a year before Hulk Hogan's death, the now infamous Real American Beer promo event went down, and it became the ultimate proof that his whole Break the Cycle act was nothing but PR spin. At that event, Hogan was proudly photographed, smiling from ear to ear, standing shoulder to shoulder with a man wearing a Make America White Again hat and an '88 patch, an unmistakable neo-Nazi dog whistle. To make it worse, the man was flashing a white power hand sign, clear as day. And this wasn't just some random fan photobombing the shot. This was a posed photo, front and center, with Hogan fully aware of the message being broadcast. When fans saw the picture, outrage erupted instantly. People begged Hogan to speak up, to denounce the blatant hate symbolism right next to him. But what did Hogan do? Absolutely nothing. No statement, no attempt to distance himself, no condemnation. He didn't delete the photo. He didn't explain. He just stayed silent, like it didn't even matter. And this wasn't early career Hogan, back in the wild days of the 80s wrestling scene. This was decades later, long after the leaked tape scandal, long after his public apology, and long after WWE gave him endless chances to prove he'd changed. Yet instead of showing growth, he was still rubbing shoulders with the exact same kind of people that symbolized everything he claimed he wanted to rise above. That's why Ice Cube refuses to let people rewrite history, because at some point this stops being about mistakes and becomes undeniable proof of a pattern. Hulk Hogan showed everyone time and time again who he really was and the reality never changed. But here's the real twist. Hogan's death isn't the end of the story. It might just be the beginning. Rumors are swirling from inside WWE. Former staff members and even ex-wrestlers are quietly saying they were explicitly told to keep their mouths shut back when the original scandal broke. Allegedly, people were warned that if they spoke out about Hogan's racism, their careers would be over. The company allegedly went all in to protect Hogan's image, proving once again that WWE was willing to silence the truth if it meant protecting its golden boy and the money he brought in. Now that Hulk Hogan has passed, the fallout inside WWE is starting to look like its own scandal waiting to explode. Multiple former staff members and even a few retired wrestlers are reportedly reaching out to journalists, claiming that WWE spent years running damage control for Hogan, burying stories, threatening people's jobs, and pushing a redemption arc that they knew was fake from the start. According to these insiders, WWE executives allegedly had private meetings back in 2015, right after the leaked tape went public. The plan? Silence anyone connected to the company who might speak out about Hogan's long history of racist behavior. People were allegedly told flat out that going public could ruin their careers forever. Even wrestlers who privately hated Hogan's return were pressured to take photos with him, smile for cameras, and play along like nothing ever happened. One former employee, speaking anonymously, said that the company's biggest fear wasn't Hogan's words, it was losing the money his name brought in. Another claimed that certain staff were ordered to monitor fan forums and social media at the time, reporting back on what fans were saying just so WWE could push positive narratives and kill negative stories about Hogan. And now, with Ice Cube publicly ripping apart WWE's fake redemption storyline, these whistleblowers are starting to feel emboldened. Rumors are flying that at least 2 ex-wrestlers are considering dropping receipts, emails, texts, even internal memos that allegedly prove WWE execs were actively covering for Hogan. If any of this goes public, it won't just stain Hogan's legacy. It could open the door to one of WWE's biggest controversies ever. Because this isn't just about one wrestler saying horrible things in private. This is about $1 billion company allegedly helping protect him, repackage his image, and convince the world that casual racism was just another mistake fans should forgive and forget. Here's where things get absolutely insane. Rumors are swirling that WWE knew about even more of Hulk Hogan's racist comments. Stuff reportedly way worse than what the public already heard. Insiders claim the company actually agreed to keep those comments sealed in exchange for Hogan's return to WWE, essentially striking a deal to protect him and his brand. But it gets even darker. Allegedly, one high-ranking WWE executive pitched using Hogan's so-called redemption arc as the centerpiece for a network docuseries that was meant to paint him as a hero who overcame his past. The plan was to turn the scandal into a comeback story that fans would eat up. But, according to sources, WWE's legal team pulled the plug at the last minute because they realized that digging too deep might unleash a flood of skeletons Hogan had been hiding for decades. So when Ice Cube calls this a massive cover-up, it's not just talk. There might be actual receipts waiting to come out. And if those receipts drop, the big questions become impossible to ignore. Who knew what? Who helped hide it? And just how far did WWE go to protect one man's image while sweeping the ugly truth under the rug? This story isn't just about Hulk Hogan anymore. It's about how an entire billion-dollar company may have been complicit in covering up racism to protect its profits and legacy. And with more insiders hinting they're ready to spill, things could blow up in a way WWE never imagined. If you've been following this saga, let me know what you think. Do you believe WWE was in on the cover-up? Who do you think will finally break the silence and drop the receipts? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Because trust me, this story is far from over. See you on the next one.